Hi, this is Kathy Thompson, and I want to introduce you tonight to the casebook method of teaching that we use in law school. So in your first year, you will have a course called torts, you'll have a course called criminal law, and you'll have a course called civil procedure, and a course called contracts. These 4 courses are your doctrinal courses, meaning that you're going to learn doctrine, you're going to learn law in them. But perhaps more importantly, you're going to learn how to study law, how to analyze law, and how to learn the law. Because the way the legal system works in the United States is that law is being created every day in this country through our judicial branch, through our legislative branch, and through the executive branch. And lawyers, their job is to find that law, analyze that law, and interpret that law, and to guide their clients in that process to help them use the law to solve disputes or to prevent disputes. So this is an example of a torts casebook, and you'll see that it's called a casebook because it contains cases, which are appellate opinions, and materials. And the materials in here are usually introductory paragraphs or sections that explain the area of the law that you're studying at that moment, and also notes, case notes after the appellate opinions, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. So I wanted you to get a sense of what a casebook is and how it's different from textbooks that you've used in the past. So what I'm going to do now is take you to the table of contents in the torts book that I just showed you. So the reason I wanted to take you to this table of contents first, because I want you, when you're studying and using a casebook, I want you to organize your understanding of these cases. These are cases here. See, these are notes and questions, notes and questions. Those are materials that the casebook author uses to help you analyze and understand the cases. And these are cases. These are people's names. These were disputes that ended up in the court system, and judges wrote opinions on them at the higher appellate level. So this topic here is the development of liability based upon fault. I want you to use this topic to help you understand why these cases are in here, because this is a very broad topic. You may not realize it now, but this topic is just historically telling you about the development of certain types of liability in tort law. And as you move further into the casebook, you're going to learn about one type of liability, which is intentional torts. It's the intentional interference with personal property, which creates, in certain circumstances, a liability, meaning one person is responsible for money damages to another because they've done certain things. And I want you to notice this subtopic, intent. So these cases here in these notes and questions all deal with the concept of intent. And this is a concept, and the reason I use that language is because in law school you are learning about ideas, you are learning about concepts, and these concepts are explained and litigated using the court system to solve a dispute in these cases. These cases become examples of how the court resolved disputes that centered around this concept. And all of these, what they have in common is they all involve some aspect of the mental state of intent and intentional torts. And I want you to be paying attention to these things as you're studying. It's really important that you understand that what these have in common is that they help you understand this concept. Same thing here. What these have in common down here is that they help you understand one intentional tort, which is called battery. And they help you understand it. So Cole v. Turner helps you understand one intentional tort called battery. And all of these torts, battery, assault, false imprisonment, you notice they're all under the same topic, intentional infliction of emotional distress, stress was to land. They are all under this broader topic of intentional interference with person or property. And each of these, starting with battery, what they have in common is that they all require intent. So your casebook starts with this concept of intent. But this concept of intent applies to battery, applies to assault, applies to false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. The intent is even in the name. Trespass to land requires some type of intent. Trespass to chattels requires some type of intent. And you notice as we move down here, these have to do with property. So when we look up at this topic up here, this property becomes the focus once we move to trespass to land, right here. And the person, interference with a person, battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false imprisonment. These all have to do with intentional interference with a person or person's rights or dignity. So why do I show you this, and why is this so important to you as a law student? Many law students their first semester focus here, and they get lost in the weeds, and they forget that what all of these cases have in common is that they're just here as tools to teach you this idea of intent, the definition of intent, what it means, what it isn't, what it is, what it isn't, what it is, what it isn't, right? Again, and because they get stuck in the weeds, they have difficulty when it comes time to apply this concept of intent to a fact pattern on an exam, because they're so specific. They're using such specific examples, and they're not really determining for themselves what all of these cases had in common and how these cases together helped you understand this concept. And I want you to start out with a little bit of a head start by knowing that. And that's all I'm going to share with you on this video today. I'm going to come back to this concept when we talk about outlining, because this will be important.